Hello and welcome to my fourth video on how to create your own minigames. As I said in the last video, in this episode I'll be covering saving your points and displaying the objective on the bottom of the screen once the players are teleported. So first off, I'm going to start with saving. For those of you who don't know how to use DataStores already, I'll be explaining that to you. DataStores is the new saving system for Roblox. We used to use data persistence, but that's deprecated now, so it's recommended not to use it anymore. So to start off, I'm going to create a variable that's getting data store service. I'm going to call it DS. So for those of you who don't know what this does, game get service. Okay, data store service is a service. Workspace is a service. Players is a service. Everything here that's a direct descendant of game is a service. But as you can see, data store service isn't here. So we have to use game get service to be able to use it. And after this, we're going to set a variable called store. And this is going to be our data store. First, data stores, we need to have one data store that contains all our information. For this one, I'm going to call it points. So to do this, I do data store service, get data store, and since I'm saving points, I'm going to do points. Now, this is where all the player points will be stored. And in order to store them, I need to call set async, but I won't be doing that now because that's for saving it. First, I'm going to start with getting it. Whenever you're working with data stores, make sure you wrap it in a pcall. A pcall basically stops it from breaking your script and ruining your game for you. The reason why you need a pcall, even if you write everything properly and it's definitely not going to break, it's going to break because there's a limit to how many gets and sets you could do in a minute. I'm not quite sure what it is, but you could look it up on the wiki. I'll have a screenshot up on the screen for you. But yeah, so make sure you wrap it in a pcall, that way it doesn't break your script when it errors. So you start off with, to do this, we want to set something to player points. That's what I'll call it, because we already have a variable here called points. I don't want to overwrite it. So player points, which is the value of how many points they have. So if last time I left the game I had 50 points, player points would be equal to 50. Now to get the amount of points I had, you just do store, get async, and then you need a key. The key is so every value has a key. So I recommend you use your the player's user ID. And so what this does is it gets the key of their player's user ID. Now we have to make sure that the points aren't equal to nil. So if player points, then normally if it's nil, that means the player's never played the game before, which means they don't have any points. So we have to check, make sure they have points, and we set the points dot value equals player points. And so this is going to give us the points when we join the game, but it doesn't save yet, it just gets them. So in order to save it, go down to the player removing function, wrap it in another p call, because just like get async, this one set async has a limit too. So I'm going to set it local. No, I don't need to do that. Check if the player has leader stats. And also check if they have points. Now to stop people from losing their points, I'm gonna have it so it checks if player.leaderstats.points is greater than 0. Because if something went wrong while loading up here, the pcall won't guarantee that there's no errors gonna happen. So there's a chance it fails to load and the player doesn't get his or her amount of points they had before. So once they leave, we got to make sure they don't have 0 points. That way that they don't lose their data. Now, since we checked all that stuff, we do store set async, and then we need the same key we used up here. So since we just used their user ID, I'm going to use their user ID here too, because it has to be the same thing. So there's the key, and then the value. So whatever's in here, so if it's 3 points, when we call get async, it's going to be 3. Player points will be 3. So here we need player.leaderstats.points.value. And that should do it. That should save it all properly. So in order to save it, if you don't know how to publish a place, go to publish to Roblox as underneath file. Then you can create new or an existing place. I already have an existing place, so I'm going to save it there, and it'll eventually give you your ID or your link. Now to play your game, you just paste the link up in there, but for most of you, your game won't already be active. So go to the develop page, games, and make sure this is green. If it isn't green, you probably have all your slots used. So just find a place and disable it. Make sure it turns gray, then you enable your own. Now, now I gotta finish the race. Boom, 10 points. Now if I leave and I rejoin, remember I had 10 points. So So when I rejoin, I should have 10 points. And I don't have 10 points. I wonder what went wrong. I'm pretty sure the problem was here, but I don't see a problem there, so it's got to be here. Oh, don't forget the dot value there. Now I'm going to do a complete data reset, so I'm going to change it to that, because I don't want to have the 5 points I had earlier. Now, since you already had your place published, just do publish to Roblox or Alt P. Alright, the data reset worked. I have 0 points. I touched the red part. I have 5 points. I leave the game. I rejoin the game. And I have 5 points again. Perfect. Saving works. So now I'm going to take care of displaying the objective. So I'm going to speed this part up, but I'll be creating the GUI for it. Okay, so I have my GUI designed, and I want the GUI to animate across the screen, onto the screen. So I'm gonna make it go below the screen and insert a local script. Remember, it has to be a local script, otherwise it will not work because of filtering enabled. And with the way I'm doing, it won't even work even if filtering wasn't enabled. Before I start, you gotta go to replicated storage and create an event. Call it event, and here do game.replicatedStorage.event.onClient event. So onClient event is when the server, so it'll be our main script sending it. When this script does fire client, it will send it to whichever player this is. So for this, I'll just do X and objective. Then I'm going to check if X is equal to display objective, then script.parent.text label.text equals objective. Now I also wanted the thing to tween onto the screen, so script.parent.parent parent is the frame, tween tween position udim2.new, and then I pasted the old coordinates it had. So when it was here, I copied that down and I pasted it in here. Now, for it to work, you have to get rid of the squiggly brackets. And what this is going to do, it's going to animate the GUI onto the screen so it doesn't just pop out of nowhere, it'll slide slowly onto the screen. And then I'm going to give them 3 seconds to read the objective because it counts down 3 seconds until the minigame starts. And then I'm going to tween it back down to 0.5, -125, 1, and then 4. That's where I have it right now. Okay, so the client side is done. Now I gotta go to the server script, the main script. Go to where you teleport the players, and just after setting their walk speed and jump power, you're gonna go to game.replicatedStorage.event, fire client. Make sure it's fire client, not fire server. Here, I'll show you. Fire client, instance player, and then your arguments. So I'm gonna do, I have 2 arguments, X and objective. And I'm checking if X is equal to display objective, then it'll display the objective. So I go to the main and fire client V. V is going to be the player it's sending it to. And then display objective, and then clone.minigameinfo.objective.value. Okay, so now when I test it out, choosing the minigame. Okay, make it to the end before the time runs out. Perfect, it works. Minigame ends, we get our points. Alright, so that's it for this video. In the next video, I'll be covering giving them wins whenever they win a minigame, and I'll have a global leaderboard for the top 10 wins. So people will want to come back and make it onto that leaderboard. So that's all for today, and I'll see you in the next one.